would just take their time in the studio and so on.
This was where Tupac's fast and rich living really kicked in. The death row months, while full of hard work, were also full of hard play.
I recall we were shooting at the Chateau Marmont Hotel here with David LaChapelle, and we finished one segment, and before we were going out to a location shot, he said, "Papa G, come with me, can we find a room where I can call my mom?" And when he got off the phone, I said, "Tupac, you tell your mother things like that?" Because, you know, that's the kind of thing I would never have been able to tell my mother. "Oh, yeah, Papa G, we're real close." She got a big kick out of that.
In some ways, he was a rock and roll archetype.
We loved shrimp cocktail, as a matter of fact. He ate 3 or 4 of those for breakfast.
Tupac was living in Los Angeles now with his brother, Mopreme Shakur.
Well, we moved to L.A. in approximately like 92. That's when he got the movie with Janet Jackson, Poetic Justice. And I was his personal assistant on that film, so we were together like through the whole film. John Singleton, who was the director for that film, he had a hard time getting Pac up in the mornings for the interviews and things of that nature. And I was brought in to help get him up and get him, you know, because we're from the street.
In 1993 and 1994, Tupac had put out his important but probably underrated albums, Strictly for My Niggas and Thug Life. The mantra Thug Life was famously tattooed on Pac's stomach. Before moving to Los Angeles, from the age of 17, Tupac lived in Oakland, Northern California.
Hip-hop is about representing where you're from. And Tupac was from all over the place, but we like to claim him here, you know, in the Bay Area.
Well, Oakland is the home of underground hip-hop, independent hip-hop. At that time, there had to be maybe 200 to 300 rappers who had put out their own music, and at least 50 independent labels in the early 90s. But nothing else, Oakland is the home of innovation, ghetto innovation. It was just like the Bay Area was on fire.
And so was Tupac. He recorded his first solo album for Interscope at Hyde Street Studios in San Francisco.
You know, his first album came out in 1991, and at that time, hip-hop was still an underground type of thing. You know, most of the music was coming out on underground labels, independent labels, separate of the major label system. And his music kind of reflected that independent streak. I was doing a lot of work for Digital Underground and for the whole Digital Underground crew at this point. And I remember having a conversation with Tupac where he was like, "Listen, I'd like you to work on my album because I really like your mixes. They sound very street." DJ Fuse and Money B were working on their solo album. And Tupac came in and did some guest performances on a couple of songs, and that's when we first met. He really liked the way his voice sounded, and he liked the mixes that we were doing. So that's kind of what led up to our first album that we did together, Tupac Lives Now. And Tupac would like sit down in the corner, not talk to anybody, light up a blunt, and then start writing. And then this is what I think is fairly miraculous, what very few people can do. As soon as he was done writing, he would actually go out and be able to deliver his raps, to actually do the vocals in 1 or 2 takes.
Tupac's debut album, Tupacalypse Now, sold gold. The stepping stone to a solo career was his membership of Digital Underground. These guys were like his family. They supported him creatively and spiritually.
They were at the beginning of kind of the heyday of the Oakland hip-hop scene.
I remember that I was living in Oakland, and he would call me. He was like, you know, Yo, Mo, I'm on the road with Digital. They hired me. I'm on the road.
So when he got on the road, and people think that he was a roadie, he wasn't just a roadie. You know what I mean? He basically came to assist us in whatever we needed to happen. So he would sometimes carry whatever he had to carry, but he was also part of the stage show.
And we used to joke about it being called the Underground Railroad, where an artist would join Digital Underground for a while, get exposure, both touring and on albums, and then kind of jump into their own thing.
And we made sure that we allowed him, you know, a part of the show to, you know, to rhyme, or, you know, he had parts in the show. And he would also, you know, do the Humpty dance when he needed to do the dance, him and I.
Tupac definitely was the artist who, you know, kind of made the most of that kind of transitional period of being with Digital Underground.
And he said it like that was the last really fun time in his life.
The first time I saw him perform with Digital was around here, like at the rehearsal spots. We all rehearsed together.
When he first came on the road, I was like, you know, it's like, if we're in a hotel and like, let's go get something, shrimp cocktail.
We just had a good time. We had wild parties. Digital Underground threw the wildest parties.
Where he would shine is like afterwards, you know, back at the hotel, if there was a piano or whatever, if there's a freestyle battle, he was always in it. Shock would be playing piano, or anybody would beatbox or whatever. He was down there. If anybody would listen, he was killing it. Him, Latifah, I don't know if you remember the group Third Base. Search could freestyle really good. So by the time we got off the road, all the other groups knew about Tupac, and they were like, man, what y'all gonna do with this dude? Shortly afterwards, the opportunity came for us to do the same song for that movie. And Shock was like, hey, you know, do a verse. And the rest is pretty much history.
To be honest, when he did start to blow up, I wasn't really surprised. You know, I mean, it didn't strike me like him. It was like, you know, I don't think a lot of people were surprised. He had a certain way about him.
No, I can remember going to a radio station one time. This is before he was on a record, but, you know, we just take him along. I took him to the radio station, and, you know, we freestyled on the radio, and then they were like, call in to talk to Digital Underground, Tupac and Money B. But all the calls, everybody was asking to talk to me. And he was like, man, this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do this. And he was like, man, he's like, wait, one of these days they're going to be calling for me.
But he used to come through the station, and he used to do a lot of stuff for the community here. Because we had a community action department, so they used to always get whoever would want to get involved with the hood and with the ghetto and with the barrios, and he was always wanting to show up, you know what I mean? That was actually that was right during the whole Digital Underground thing, and then he went away, and then when he came back, he was still messing with the beat.
Let's go to the phone lines real quick. Yo, the beat, what up?
Even in the beginning, Pac expected everyone to do their job perfectly. If they didn't, he wasn't going to stay quiet.
Check it out. I know to make the crowd. I like my music loud.
We had a show in Augusta, Georgia. I think that was our first show. And at the sound check, the sound man for the whole tour, he did something. It was something that, you know, we were upset about. And Pac just went to rush the sound man and like went to swing at him, like trying to knock his ass out. And right as he was swinging, Apron and somebody grabbed him, and he just barely missed the sound man. And we was like, dude, you can't beat up the sound man. You know what I mean? That's our whole show. That shit crazy. We always like, no, one thing we used to always be like, and he used to hate him, we like, calm down. We used to always tell him to calm down. He used to get upset, like, I'm not calming, you know? Because we ever like, calm down, Tupac. He'd be like, that.
And in turn, Digital Underground blessed him with the opportunity to do Juice, his first feature film, which he was a star in.
Actually, my brother was going to come on the road, and Tupac took his place. So I kind of was a little resistant at first. But, you know, from the time that we first met, whenever Tupac would come to Oakland to come record or whatever, he would come to my house because out of the group, we were the closest in age. We were only like a year apart. So, we were pretty tight. As far as the group, we were probably the closest, you know what I mean? And so he'd want to come over and make tapes and everything. And, of course, the girls, the drinking, and whatever.
By 1990, Pac had made his